This week is Library Week in St. Lucia, and we have guests from the librarian at the UE Open Campus, Daisy St. Rose, and Mrs. Margot Thomas, who is the National Archivist. Library Week is, you have a very special occasion tomorrow, which is Customer Appreciation Day in a library. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, the Hunter J. Festival Library and the UE Open Campus Library want to show appreciation to, our customers who are our students tomorrow. So we'll be providing them with, a little snack or a little token during a certain period of time. On Friday, all librarians will be going to the Otsa Combined School, where they will set up a library, okay, a small library there. And that is an initiative which I think we've had the involvement of the general public, in donating
books,
children's
okay.
books, yes, including, I think, Super G was one of the business places.
So when do librarians stop working and start celebrating themselves? Is there any plans in your week of activities for that?
Well,
party time?
I think it culminates in a beach lime on Saturday or Sunday. I think it's supposed to be at Sandy Beach.
Jerry, I just want to say there that on Friday at the National Archives, we shall be close to the public, because what we're doing, we're reorganizing our research library, and we're actually going to be transferring from a small room where we are to a larger room. We always have to be reconfiguring, because we always need more space at the archives. So this is what we'll be doing on Friday. So when our researchers come in, they're going to have a more conducive space for their research and their work.
So is the archives up and running to your satisfaction, Margot?
Jerry, you should come and see what you're doing, Jerry, and then you'll be able to answer that question. But I'm saying, I'd like to say that at the archives, we are making some strides.
Right.
We are looking
because I've noticed,
at our
for
audience.
example, at Independence, you have put on special showcases of our past. I've remembered some other events where they've had national exhibition. The archives have been, very prominent in displaying some of the material which has been stored there. Yes,
because what we have to do, we have to ensure that people appreciate our history, and that's what we're about. Appreciate our records, appreciate our culture, appreciate who we are as a people. And that is why we opened our portrait gallery. And Jerry, I don't think I've seen you.
No, I haven't been.
Okay, and Daisy, I'd like to invite the two of you to come and see what we're doing. Okay. But what we're doing is trying to make sure that whatever we do is relevant to the needs of our people. And when we look at the theme for Library Week, the theme is talking to libraries in national development. And when we look at our archives, we are important to development, because we store the records of government, of private entities, and so on. And when things are being done, when new initiatives come on, it is always good to know what happened in the past, what decisions were taken, what reports were written, so proper decisions could be made. And I am of the view, and it's my personal view, that enough import and enough weight is not placed on what went before, so that, because I find people keep reinventing the wheel all the time. And they're saying, oh, we're the first to do this, we're the first to do that. And they don't know what has gone before. Right. And there is this disconnect between the present and the past.
And the other thing, too, I noticed, Margot, is that the fascination people have with photographs of St. Lucia and people who have been part of our history, you know, in past, you know, in the past. Whenever you've placed a photograph, you know, of old time, people always are naturally drawn to.
Yeah, because it's so nostalgic. Remember on the net some time ago, I think you placed a photograph of an old bus.
Yes, that's right.
And then the number of comments which were made, because it brings back to mind, you know, the experiences that people had riding on these old buses with no backrest, you know, a hard board, having to be driven along rocky roads.
And the personalities of the drivers.
You know, and, you know, there are so many aspects, you know, that people can relate to, because it's part of our past. We could all relate to it. And these are the things which made us hard and which, you know, made us who we are. And all this goes towards building up who we are as a people and our identity. Remember at the launch, Adrian was talking about, you know, and these are the things we need to go back to the past to find out what obtained, because these are the things that made us the St. Lucians that we are.
Daisy, I want to come to you. Have you, during the week or the past month, do you have a professional association of librarians here?
We have been trying. I know they've been trying for years. We've been trying for years. The closest we have to it is when we all come together for National Library Week. And that brings me, you know, well, I guess I should say that I think information professionals, I've been saying librarians, and I really should be saying information professionals, really need to take a stance to be more dynamic. Okay, we can't just sit back and, I mean, there are so many, when I look around, there are so many trained information professionals, you know, master's degrees and, you know, maybe even doctorates. And we need to start doing something. You know, don't just sit back and say, well, you know. Because
the reason I asked was whether you have sat down together to find out how are you going to bring people into libraries, because as we have said, they have sort of migrated and are becoming their own librarians in a sense at their own homes. So how do you bring them back into libraries to appreciate libraries more than they are now?
Well, I think in the academic context, we haven't lost any of our users or clients. Perhaps
it's ready-made, right?
Yes, yes. In the central library, how do we bring them back? Well, I think again,
it must be the place must be more attractive.
Yes.
Because you know people they are attracted to places that are pleasing, you know, look good, smell good, feels good, you know. So it has to be an attractive place where people feel they can go, where they could learn something. And when you look at what is happening now in the world of work and in the world of education with lifelong learning, people are getting their degrees over the internet. I am seeing the libraries and the information centers as being very important and crucial to that process to enable the learners to be better able to cope with what they have to do so that they do not learn in isolation, you know. And that is why the library, the thing is, like a chameleon, you have to change your spots to fit your environment, you know. And I think you cannot stay back, because if you stay back, you become obsolete. So you have to look at your target audience, see what they need, and you have to mold yourself to fit their needs, you know. And I think this is not being done enough. Well, when I look at the archives, our clientele keeps growing.
Yes.
Because we have a genealogical center. And you find that when you look at our annual reports, you see an upward trend in the number of people coming there, particularly now with the adjudicator's office and needing birth certificates and needing, so they have to go back to get the birth certificates and baptismal certificates of grandparents and great-grandparents. So they have to go into the old records.
Oh,
so you find we have more and more clients coming for this kind of service, you know. And then when we look at students with the SBAs and we have more and more students coming to use the archives. And then I also go to schools to give talks, you know, because recently I was at the Anglican school teaching them about the changing landscapes of St. Lucia and how Castries has changed.
Exactly.
And telling them about the streets and the names of the streets and showing them before and after pictures of the different, you know, scenes in Castries and in, you know, Grosile and different places. You know, so we are fulfilling a role which I think is very important, you know, and the teachers and the students are making use of it. So we're not actually losing patrons, we're actually building up our base.
So Daisy, how can the public help? How can the public help in you know, and ensuring that there's a greater appreciation for libraries?
The public. Well, I think that librarians or information professionals just need to know, or maybe we're just not focusing on it, but we need to know what our users expect, right? Rather than providing what we think they want, which is perhaps not what they expect from us, we need to know what they expect. So have something where, you know, an open, you know, where we get the feedback.
More interaction,
yes.
So that you can get, yes.
Yes, and then meeting that expectation.
Well, I hope that will be one of the things that you focus on during this week or after. But we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we just want to look at the libraries in the future. How are we going to ensure that they are sustained right here in St. Lucia, but also what's happening globally to ensure that the public continues the use of the library and also see the usefulness of information specialists. We'll be back in just a moment on News Maker Live.